podcast. Excited for this week. A lot of action to talk about. Some standout performers. Week 6 was pretty interesting. A lot of upsets. We're gonna have some huddle that we're gonna break down as well, and then obviously we got a second segment how we fared in our college football predictions, how Georgia and Georgia Tech's faring, and then the biggest storylines heading into Week 4 of college football. And also we're gonna talk a little bit about NFL. Are the Dolphins the best team in the league right now? I certainly think so. But we're gonna talk about that and more. But Craig, how are you feeling?
Feeling good. I think this is a fun part of the high school season. We're seeing the non-region wrap up. We're getting some questions answered. We saw big matchups last week. The North Cobb Milton one. Thought that was interesting. And not a lot of 7A games this week, but it's starting to get close. There are some good ones though. We'll talk about that. Grayson, Newton for sure. And some interesting thing. The polls shook up this week. We know we'll talk about 6A as well.
Well, let's go ahead and get started and let's react to Week 6 of football action. Just what were your biggest standouts? Not players, but just performances from teams, the upsets, the wins. What kind of stood out to you?
Think with Douglas County, that was without a question the biggest win of the week. It's so huge for that program, so huge for individuals on there, um, beating Hughes, setting themselves up in the driver's seat for that region. Just massive. You can't say it enough. They're getting the recognition finally. They're in the top five most polls. Huge win. I also thought with Buford, they handled business once again. Their defense has been incredible this season. I think the highest scoring game was the North Cobb one. North Cobb put up some points, but then that was when the offense exploded. I was impressed with Buford. I think they look good. And then teams like McEachern starting to put together a win streak. I think they're going to shake up. And you look at McEachern last year missing out on the playoffs. That obviously put a bitter taste in their mouths. We saw it with Stars Mill, also a team that missed the playoffs, getting a big win over Troop. And so I think a lot of the teams that kind of underachieved last year or were knocked out of the playoffs with a tough loss, they're kind of coming back with a vengeance this year.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think some of my biggest takes from the week was obviously, as you said, the McCreachin upset versus Valdosta. And I got something interesting to actually bring up too about that region, right? Has a big game upcoming this week. They're gonna host Harrison. Harrison is 6-0. That region right now, as far as the standings, Hillgrove's 2-4. Harrison 6-0, as I mentioned. McEachern is 2-4. North Paulding 5-0, and Marietta 1-5. I could easily see, as kind of Coach Boone alluded to with the McEachern team, very well coached. I could easily see them making the playoffs in this region. I don't think it should be too difficult, but I think they set the tone if they're going to make the playoffs this week at home against Harrison. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you beat an undefeated team. You already got a big upset win against Valdosta. That was certainly probably not an easy win, but they beat them. So I think that's one of my biggest standouts. They built that momentum, 1-4 at that point, go into this game against Harrison and continue that momentum. They start off the region off right. So that's one of mine. Grayson trouncing Lowndes, right? I think it was 41-0.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh man, that right there was a big game. Because curious to see how what Lowndes perform after giving up so many yardage against East Calhoun and Deshaun Horsley. But they beat their former team, beat their former coach, Adam Carter. So I thought that was an interesting storyline as well. And then Tyler Atkinson just flying all over the field. And they did it in a multitude of ways. That's what's so cool about Grayson. They did it getting a fumble return for a touchdown, I think kick return for a touchdown. They were doing a bunch of just different things, scoring. And obviously Jeff Davis looked good too, winning the player of the game as well. So that was one for me. And then it got to be North Cobb. Obviously, we're going to talk about him as far as analyzing his tape. But David Usiemi just running wild against Milton. I didn't foresee that coming, especially with their defensive line, how good it looked against Roswell, how dominant it was. You know, Caleb Bell, Christian Hunter, AJ Bitten. They just had so many guys. That surprised me. 325 yards and 4 tutties. I mean, that's a big performance. And the last one was obviously, you said, Douglas County statement win against Hughes. And what I want to say about Hughes is still will be the same team. I still have them a state championship contender. I still think that they were one of the best teams in the state. I just think that this year coming in, Douglas County had a little bit more talent than they had the previous year, right? Defensive line was better. They'd be able to rotate some guys in. The skill position even got even better, even though they had Monte Gooden last year, Deuce Alexander. I mean, you got James Johnson back for another year in the offense. Then you got Aaron Gregory coming up, number 3, I think, player in the state of Georgia, number 4. So I just think they got so many playmakers, and Sire just, as Coach White mentioned, the offensive coordinator on the field, right? So
Mhm.
they just got so many weapons. So those are my biggest standouts from week
What
6.
do you know about James Johnson besides, I mean, him having a huge impact this last game? I think he had 3 touchdowns, but it seems like he's kind of brought this versatility to the offense where Douglas County is like a complete team this year. Like last year, you had Sire passed the ball well, got hurt, they had to go to the now they can pick and choose what they want to do.
It's almost as you mentioned the word versatility, right? Because they can run the ball with Michael Hasty and the other running back, but then you can also, I don't know if you remember that game they played against Mays. James Johnson also had a rushing touchdown in that game. He had the big stiff arm, scored against Mays. So it's like you can use him in different sub packages, right? You can use him as almost like kind of a Debo Samuel type of role, right? You can use him in the slot. You can use him on the outer boundary, right? You can put him in motion. You can use him as a running back. When you have weapons like that and you can move them all over the field and they don't get tired, they don't come off the field, as Coach White mentioned, they don't come off the field, him and Aaron. I mean, that just makes it even better. And then the physicality that he brings to the defensive side of the ball. I don't know if you've seen how he was hitting.
Yeah,
These are
8
some top
tackles
yeah,
also.
these are some top notch people that he's hitting against with Hughes, right? So I think having all that definitely just it helps the team.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have every phase going for you to beat a team like Hughes. Thought that was super impressive. It was a tight game, too. They executed well down the stretch. Just massive. But let's talk a little bit more about the Grayson win.
Yeah,
Defensively, they gave up 28 yards in that first half. The offense has been a question. They are getting better and better every week. JD Davis, efficient passing the ball. Mentioned yesterday, he had that early interception, shook it off, immediately drove him down the field, didn't skip a beat. So I think their tough loss early on, that's completely in the rearview mirror because they're embarrassing their opponents every single week.
and what did me and you actually say off the air after week 1? We both said, do
Yep.
not take too much or do not buy too much into that big loss to Waller, right? We don't think that is a barometer. Well, obviously, it's a barometer, but we don't think that that is a sign of what it's going to be for Grayson. That is just one game, and we're like you just mentioned, we're seeing it. They're demolishing opponents. They're being physical, and they're playing the Grayson football, and that's what we continue to see.
Yeah. And new head coach, new coordinators, moving guys, new roles around the field. We know that they have the playmakers.
Yeah.
It's just they needed a couple weeks to get going. And then same thing with McEachern with the new staff. I mean, you got to give Coach Reed a lot of credit. They lose a tough one to Brookwood in the opener. I thought they could have won that game.
For sure.
Had some big losses after that, but then the response completely blowing out Tucker, giving up just 7 points, and then what they did to Valdosta. I mean, just a dominant victory, and that's just exactly what they'd want to see heading into this region. We mentioned you got the big Harrison game coming up. North Paulding's undefeated. We'll see how they look. Their offense has been lights out. Their quarterback was leading all of 7A in passing, putting up just ridiculous numbers. North Paulding is the defending region champ. But what's interesting about North Paulding and just what shows how kind of deep that region is, last year North Paulding lost to Harrison in the opener and then ended up running the table the rest of the way. But then I think Harrison also had a late win against McEachern. I mean, they're all beating each other. So these are going to be really big games the next coming week.
Yes.
I think it's key for North Paulding to get an opportunity to play Walton this week, see who wins that Harrison McEachern game. They'll get film on both. So they're in good position, just being kind of a week behind them. But yeah, big game for sure.
100%. And before we move to our football standouts, is any other games or just results that just stood out to you?
Let's see. I think 5A looks pretty wide open. Ware County just lost again. Warner Robins is struggling
Yep.
Offensively. Creekside, they had that out of state loss, but they're handling business. They're getting into the region schedule. Coffee, a team that is undefeated, made a big run last year. I think 5A looks pretty wide open right now. You got Kell getting better and better each week. You got GAC lurking as well. They're undefeated. I think 5A remains pretty wide open. I just want to see kind of how Ware County is going to respond once they get into these big region games. I know they have a big one against Warner Robins coming up, but I have questions about Warner Robins. They have been playing top quality teams, but looks like they still have not gotten it together offensively.
Yeah, and some like kind of back to your point with McEachern. 'Cause sometimes it takes a little bit of time to implement everything you want and kind of get the kinks out and kind of get going. Again, I think the best thing, Craig, is that you don't want to be playing your best football early in the season. Obviously, it looks good, but you want to play when it matters most. And obviously, that starts with the region schedule. For some teams, it's already starting now. For some teams, they got one more week, and then obviously a playoff football. So that is the one thing Warner Roberts has. We know they're a talented bunch. New head coach. Hopefully, they get it turned around and figured out here pretty soon. But
Yep. Well, let's move forward because we'll talk about some of the big matchups this upcoming week.
yes, so we're going to move to our football standouts from week 6. One of mine, as you already mentioned, wide receiver DB James Johnson, 140 all-purpose yards, 3 touchdowns, 8 solo tackles. He gets my football standout from week 6. Phenomenal performance from James Johnson, just doing it all over the field. Offensively, defensively, and in special teams. He is a phenomenal talent, and they still got another year out of him. He's just a junior, so can't wait to see what his full potential will be. Then you got Worth County, Lyndon Worthy. Got to give some credit out there. 18 for 30, 409 yards, 6 touchdowns. Phenomenal performance from Worth County, Lyndon Worthy. Really enjoy how he throws the football, how he gets all the reads, doesn't force anything, big play guy. He does everything well for that program. And I definitely think he's doing a magnificent job. So that's my other standout. And I got to give some love to Creekside, man. Roger McCrary, we've seen him ball out in our Cookie Hill Classic out in Rome against Kennesaw Mountain. He's doing it again, 178 yards rushing, a touchdown, 95-yard kickoff return for a touchdown, 5 tackles, 2 PBUs. Another phenomenal performance from Roger McCurry of Creekside. Got to give him some love. All right, and then my last one is Rabun County athlete Reed Giles. It's a heck of a stat line. 10 rushes for 95 yards, 10 catches for 96 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Great performance out there for Rabun County. Reed Giles continues to get it done. Any way you use him, running the football, catching the football, he's been having a phenomenal season. So he's my other standout for week 6.
Nice. That was Worth County.
Yes.
Interesting. I got to go with Ricky Johnson from Houston County, 3 touchdown receptions against Warner Robins. We're going to see them this week. Huge game against Lee County. I want to see how good this Houston County pass attack looks. We know the quarterback, A.J. Hill, but big numbers this season from Ricky Johnson. He's been a very reliable target, caught all of their touchdowns. How about Aaron Philo? I want to bring up his numbers because I'm pretty amazed at how they can just keep doing this every single year. I think this would be their 3rd straight season of having 3 1,000-yard receivers. No one can figure out how to stop them. You got to give credit to their quarterback, Aaron Philo. They're coming off a 56-20 win over Pensacola Christian. 406 yards, 25 of 38, 4 touchdowns, and 71 yards rushing. Something we haven't seen him do, but he's added that size to his game. Shout out to him. He's been playing incredible this season. Doesn't matter that he has the new pieces. He's just been lights out.
That's the interesting thing. Replace 3 of your 1,000-yard receivers, and you're still balling out. Phenomenal.
Yeah, has not skipped a beat. So they'll have some big games coming up. We know how competitive the playoffs are going to be. Swainsboro, teams like that gave him a run last year, but his career, his numbers, he's moving into that top 10 all-time territory just with his yardage. And he's a guy that can go out there and throw 7 touchdowns a game and make it look routine. So pretty incredible. And then I don't have stats on him, but want to give a shout out to Mill Creek. It looks like Trajan Greco had a big catch in that game, kind of the game-winning nail in the coffin in that one. Shane Throgmartin, that's a tough Parkview defense he went up against. He made some big throws. And then Cam Robinson once again had a huge game, nearly 200 yards rushing. So Mill Creek, that was definitely the biggest win they've had this season. They looked outstanding, but that was a good top 10 matchup. They'll be playing some good competition coming up.
There will be. I think they'll
Collins
be tested.
Haley, got Buford.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But yeah, Mill Creek has definitely impressed, and their defense remains solid as well, just holding them to 20 points.
100%. Some good standouts by you, Craig. Definitely. I think Mill Creek is going to be the team to watch, right? A lot of people have been sleeping on them. I haven't had them high in my things as far as just rankings because I just thought they replaced so much, but they've gotten it going and they lean on Cam Robinson and Shane Throckmorton is making the throws and Trajan Greco is playing both sides well. And they're playing some fired up football. So I think the big test, what I got circled, is against Buford. How will they look against them? Will that offense be kind of as high scoring as it's been? I think defensively they could potentially give them a little bit of a test for that Buford offense. But how will they look offensively against Buford's really got? I think they're one of the best defenses in the state. Seeing them up close and personal, you don't give up a lot of plays. You got KJ Roman, and the thing that was interesting about him, I'll point out real quick about KJ is that a lot of people say he don't want to come down and lay the hit, and I don't know if you saw, but he was coming down and he was hitting folks.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think he extinguished whatever that was about. But he really impressed me. He can go sideline to sideline, and they got a good linebacking core too. Montrez Walker, Jaden Perlotti, and obviously, hopefully, it's not a significant injury to Execution. Got a little banged up in that game, but Bryce Perry Wright, they got dudes Nick Maggio that can get after you. So that Mill Creek Buford game will be really intriguing.
Yeah, and we'll see how healthy Buford is. I think one of the key plays early on in the game we saw it's Edric Houston, Marietta. They're starting to get some positive yards. He comes back around, chases down the defender, lays a hit. KJ Bolden's right there on the play, produced the big turnover. So I think Buford's defense is really impressive, but how are you going to be able to beat them? Marietta did not have a run game. They relied on the screen, tried their best to move the ball, but they weren't able to sustain the drives. They were able to move the ball. It was a closer game than many people expected. It was close last year too. But I think if you have Cam Robinson that is able to go for 150, 180, take his 20 carries, and then what Mill Creek has done, they've just been patient. And then as soon as they find an opening, or they'll kind of spy on who's coming down to help in the run, and they have speedy athletes. They've done it for years now. They'll plug them in.
Yep.
And then Shane Throgmorton has been able to deliver deep balls every single game so far this season. You also have to factor in, I mean, Mill Creek had a running clock against Cedar Grove recently. I mean, that's obviously Cedar Grove's a 3A team, but they've been very sharp offensively. I think they'd be able to score some points and do what they do, which is control the pace of the game against a Buford team. I think that'll be a close game once again this year. And certainly Buford's been tested so far this season. They've had some close games, but we'll see. And it's all going to depend on how healthy they are. I thought Buford has a lot of depth. You see it when an offensive lineman will go down. They'll bring in a junior that's already a 4-star, but some of those skill guys, they aren't as deep as you think.
Yeah, we're going to see. I mean, they were, like you said, they were rotating a lot of guys in. I seen Devin Williams out there, the 4-star player. I seen Tashawn White, who's committed to UNC. KJ was out there, obviously. I mean, they had a lot of athletes they were subbing in and out on offense. So we'll see how they look going forward.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting.
They relied on getting the turnovers. Mill Creek doesn't turn the ball over a lot.
No.
And then Mill Creek's just solid on both lines of scrimmage for sure. And their linebackers are experienced. And then in the secondary, who's stretching the field for Buford besides KJ? We have not seen it yet. And Dylan can throw it. I mean, he had one throw in that game where they finally, in the second half, I think it was, let him just throw it deep. And he's got one of the best arms I've seen. There's no doubt about that.
No, 100%. But we're going to leave that there. We're going to analyze some tape now. Got a couple guys for you. Northgate, Mason McKnight. We're going to look at his film. Plays cornerback, junior cornerback for Northgate. So we're going to go ahead and look at his film. We're going to share the screen. Comment below your thoughts on the film. We're going to share that right now. And then we got David Asiemi of North Cobb. So let's go ahead and roll the tape. Here we go. All right. So right here. Hard to see, but it's the screen. Great job. Oh, my goodness. Just leveling the offensive lineman and getting off the block. Laying the hit. Let's see. Okay, he's on this side of the field over here. Great job being in the right place at the right time, getting the interception. Like a batted ball. Okay, look like he's over here, y'all, on this other flank right here. Great job with the PBU, closing down. Good closing speed right there. Strapped him up. All right. Okay, here he is again, guys. Top of the screen right here. Okay, play's gonna break out. This looks like an effort play right here. Oh, yeah, great effort right there, hustling down. Okay, he's on the outer boundary right over there, so left side of your screen, guys. Wow, nice job. I looked like that was possibly zone there. He reads the play, comes over top. We can look at that one more time. I thought this was a great play by him. We'll look one more time. Okay, so right here, we can pause it. So like this is the linebacker right here. This is the safety. That's how you can tell it's cover 3. If you got a big safety in the middle of the field, he's going to go over here, guys, so you can see, which I have a little thing you can see. He's going to drop this way. He's going to drop this way. So you got all this field over here. But does a good job reading it. They're running seams. He sees it there. Okay, hey, the ball's out of his hands. He's no longer in the thing. Okay, I see him. Now he's beat. I'm not gonna lie to you, linebacker got beat on this play. But he reads it, plays his cover 3 really well, closes inside. Great, phenomenal play, as Craig pointed out.
Yeah, really nice play right there.
Yes. Great job reading. You could tell right there.
Especially because he didn't undercut it. He went behind him because he got beat and then just happens to be right there.
100%.
And that Northgate win over Stars Mill is looking a lot better. We saw Stars Mill beat Troop this last week.
Yes. All right, let's see where he's at. Okay, so he's right here, guys. We'll look at about 2 minutes of film. Okay, right here, playing it well. Boom. Oh, my goodness. Let's look at that again. Oh, wow.
He's really good at reading that quarterback.
Look at that. Look at him come down. Bam. Woo. Look at him lay the hit. That was impressive. Okay, he's over here, guys. So you guys can see.
Yeah, plays like that get the team going for sure.
Okay, he's doing a good job playing his zone, but then look at him come down. Woo. Ooh, that kid is hitting. Lifted. That kid is hitting. My goodness. All right, let's see. Okay, we got a run play. Let's see. Okay. Wow. Okay, that is impressive. His physicality is jumping off the charts for me. Look at what he does to the receiver. Oh, you're too small. Get in the weight room, man. Oh, man, that's impressive. That is impressive. Okay, a couple more plays, guys. All right, we got another run. We're going to possibly have a chase down right here. Wow. Nice job. That's a big game, but he prevents the touchdown right there. Okay, we're going to see him on a little kickoff coverage. Game. All right, let's see.
That's next level.
That is next level. All right, last play, guys, and we're going to go to David Asiemi. Okay, great job pressing him, getting him out of the play. Look at the quarterback run. Look at him come down. Wow, big hit. Hey, guys, I'm not going to lie. What's his name? Mason McKnight. I hope you're watching, man. We're going to share this film for you. Just quick thoughts about this, and then we'll go to David Asiemi. Man, he reads well. You can tell he watches film for me. The way that he's reading the cover 3, being able to know, okay, hey, they're running seam routes here. I've studied film. Okay, so we have the quarterback saying, let me close down. Because if not, I think that's a touchdown with the linebacker. And then the way he comes down, fights off defenders and makes the big hit. I mean, that's impressive.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking at it. He's a junior. I'm interested how much he played last year, but he just looks like a defensive guy. It's not like a athlete that's going in there.
No,
you have to have experience to be making plays like that to get off the box. I was impressed with the kickoff as well. He's the first one down there. That's the line of defense. You got about 4 bodies trying to set up the play, just completely disrupted it, gets the tackle. And yeah, some of those hits, quarterbacks better think twice if they're getting to the boundaries. Might want to get out of bounds.
Yeah, I don't think you want to play with
that
him.
One quarterback got airlifted near the goal line.
He's next level.
Good clean hits.
Yes. All right, we're going to go ahead and look at David Asiemi now of North Cobb. Ran loose, 325 yards. I mean, y'all just look at this play right here. I mean, this is incredible. First play on this huddle phone. Look at him. Look at all these guys. Now, that's just inexcusable. That is. There's no way 10 guys there and he squirts out of that. I mean, that's just sheer willpower right there. That is impressive. This is a game against Milton. Good job bouncing it outside. Obviously, right there looks like the defensive lineman lost contain. He exploits it. Big time touchdown. This is against Marietta. Good job filling the hole, breaking 2 tackles. That's 3. That's 4. Turning on the Jets, 5. Wow. Okay, here he is again. Good blocked up. Tries to get his offensive lineman to get the block. Doesn't even matter. Just outscores. I mean, his burst is next level. Okay, same thing here. Bounces it outside. Just makes Milton pay.
Yeah, I mean, once he gets to the second level, I just don't think there's very good odds of stopping him.
No, and that's a halfback stretch right there. He's just too fast, kills him. Looks like against Milton, he was killing him on that outside zone read. Right here, just run up the middle.
Ooh.
I mean, sheesh. I mean, what he did to the defender right there. Look at that. Look at him split these two guys, and there's two guys right here. That is crazy. That's against Northside Ronald Robbins, by the way. Okay, another one against Milton. That time he just ran in between the tackles, makes the defender miss right there. Turns on the Jets. Easy tutty. All right, he's going to work to the left. Outside zone read. Blocked up pretty good. Breaks the tackle. Breaks two. Oof. Uses the stiff arm. Oh, my goodness. All right, here he is again. Just running right up the middle. Breaks. That's 3 tackles I've counted so far. That's 4. It's 5. Sheesh. Yeah, I see why he's going to Clemson. I mean, and that was his 4th tutty against Milton.
Was he at the game this last week? I think I might have seen him with Sammy there.
Yes, he was. Yeah, you talking about when Clemson played?
Yeah,
he was. I would look at a couple more guys. He is right here. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Wow.
I mean,
that last move.
6. All right, we look at one more, y'all. 6 broken tackles. Great job by Craig pointing out this film right here. 1. I mean, that kid's next level, man. I mean, I was definitely excited to see him against that Walton defense.
And I just think it's interesting. So, like, you've been to the North Cobb Milton games. What have we seen in past seasons? It was
Just
like
run the
Malachi
ball.
Singleton would come in there. There was one game, I think he had like 4 rushing touchdowns.
Yes.
Just put his head down. Looked like Cam Newton just trucking that Milton defense. But now they don't have that, but
they technically still do.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, they technically still do. And I think that's what their offense has always been predicated on, running the football, giving it to either letting Malachi Singleton do it or Grimstead or David Asiemi. They've always had that staple either quarterback or running back, and we're seeing that. And I think that's what's given, surprisingly, Milton fits. I still think Milton's a contender in 7A. I mean, I just think North Cobb is kind of, like those teams are just a bad matchup. We talk about the NFL all the time. Like Cleveland's a bad matchup for Cincinnati. Green Bay's usually a bad matchup for Dallas. So on and so forth. I just think North Cobb's a bad matchup for Milton. I just, seeing them a couple times, I think I've seen that matchup like 3 times. I mean, it's kind of the same result. And that's no knock on Coach Ben Reason, what he's doing in his program. He's doing a great job. I just think with them in the physicality, and even though you know what they're going to do, they're still able to do it. And that kid's next level. You see how many tackles he broke on multiple plays.
Yeah, they've been a bad matchup for Walton too.
Yeah.
And it's not just North Cobb. What other team in recent years had a huge win over Walton, kind of exposed them? It was West Forsyth. Peyton Strako, another Clemson guy, just went off. I think he had 5 touchdowns.
Yep.
Same thing. He's had a lot of success against some of these better teams in 7A. We talked about Cam Robinson, Mill Creek's running back. He's been outstanding. But in the last 3 games, let's look at these numbers. He's had 205, 268, and then 326 this past week against Milton. 10 touchdowns the last 3 weeks. He is on fire.
I'm not going to lie. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a 2,000-yard rusher.
Yep, and here's some speed stats. So 6'1", 205 pounds. Apparently he's ran a 10.84 in the 100 meters, and he's a long jumper, 19 feet, 7 inches. Just an unbelievable athlete. The balance, the patience, physical, doesn't fall down. He's playing outstanding.
For sure. But we're going to leave it there. That's our 2 tapes we looked at. If you guys want to analyze more tape, obviously send it to our DMs. All that is linked below. So we'll try to do that every week, analyze the players' film. All right, so let's wrap up our high school segment with the most intriguing Week 7 matchups. I already mentioned one, McEachern hosting Harrison. My other one I got circled, Craig, Roswell versus Blessed Trinity. It's a tough region. Alpharetta's in there as well. But I got this game circled because the winner of this game very well could be the region champion. The only reason I say that is because they come in, they're both 1-0. But if you go 1-1, it's going to be tough. Now, potentially, Alpharetta could give one of these teams a matchup, but you don't want to leave it into the hands of another team. But this is a big matchup. How will Blessed Trinity look? They beat Sprayberry pretty good. I think it was 31-3. We know what they can do with Brooks Goodman. We know they can run the ball. I think they should throw it more. Obviously, with Goodman and Bryce Lewis. But how will Roswell look? Obviously, 2 weeks removed now since they lost to Milton, but they can run the ball well. As you mentioned, the impact player for me, Saquon Smith. Can do a lot of those things well. Return game, running the ball, along with Nakai Davenport. Got Dylan Williams. You can just throw the ball up to, and he's gonna go get it. So I think that's an intriguing game.
Yes, and so Nakai Davenport, he had a huge performance this past Friday. He's back. He's healthy. Saquon Smith, he's a difference maker. Dylan Williams, touchdown machine. Right, definitely leads them in touchdown receptions. But for me, it's like, okay, there's the balance Roswell has offensively, but it's going to be about protecting the quarterback. Milton has an elite pass rush. They won that game because they put pressure on KJ Smith the entire night, made it difficult. Can BT do the same, force them into those situations, and bring him down? He's so good at escaping it. And then once he escapes, he has all those targets. He can just dump it out. He's really good at that. Last year, Roswell's, I think it was the first time they ever played, despite being right next to each other. Roswell won handedly. They beat them pretty bad. I don't think, I think BT will be aware of that, hey, it's an exceptional Roswell team. This is the real deal in 6A. But offensively, what will BT be able to do to try to slow down the game like Milton did, control that clock in that first half, where, I mean, really, Roswell barely touched the ball. So they're going to have to sustain those drives and then be physical up front. We will see.
Yes. Yeah, we're going to see. That's one of my matches I got circled. That's going to be so intriguing and fun. And obviously, our game on TV, Houston County versus Lee County, I think it's kind of the same thing, right? I can't wait to see Antoine Hill in person, right? Got a lot of playmakers and guys can get the ball to. But how will Houston County's defense look against no, it's not. I'm sorry. Usmani Kroma. How will they look? That's a 4-star player, heavily recruited. I'm curious to see, can they slow him down? And I think that's the big test between those two teams. I think Antoine Hill will be able to sling it. I think he's going to have a big game, obviously. But I want to see how does Lee County look offensively in this game. And I think that's going to be the big test. So that's another game I got circled.
Yeah, should be a great one. Yep. Lee County is going to want to run the ball. Houston County is going to want to air it out. So you have a contest of styles, incredible athletes on both sidelines, great top 10 matchup. I'm interested to see what happens as well. It's going to be at Houston County.
Yep.
Both teams are battle tested. Lee County recently had a big win over Lake Gibson, Florida.
Yes, they did.
So I'm excited about that one. But let's see. The Newton Grayson game.
Yeah, that
is how good is Newton? They beat a great Westlake team. That's a huge victory. Now they're playing Grayson, who is red hot. We saw what they did to Lowndes last week. And this is a big region game.
Yep.
You got Parkview in there as well. Archer, Brookwood, South Gwinnett. So it's a huge region opener. Grayson's going to want to get that top seed. They're going to want to keep this going. Big matchup against Parkview coming up. But Newton is a team that last year made noise in that same region. They've got a new coach, got a great running game, and tremendous physical athletes all over the field. And if you can shut down a Westlake team like that, it's going to come down to that Grayson offense. Can they keep moving the ball, avoid making mistakes?
Well, we know they got the big running back for Newton. I think it's going to be a test of will, I think, in that game. Can they slow him down? And I think Grayson can. As I said, I think Grayson has the athletes to match up with a lot of people. And I think that's going to be the test, right? How defensive will it look? Will they be able to slow him down? Can they hold him under 100 yards? I think they can. And I think offensively, they continue to lean on Dylan Elder. Set up the play action pass with Jeff Davis, hit the downfield throws. I definitely think they got a potential chance.
For sure. No, I really don't know what to expect because I've just been so impressed with Grayson these last few weeks with the offense. So I think it'll be a really good test on how good is that Newton defense.
Yes.
For sure. And then there's a game I don't know what's going to happen in it because I think Warner Robins has been up and down this year, but Ola undefeated playing Warner Robins big region game. Ola's off to their best ever start. We'll see if they can keep that one close. And then Mays Creekside should be a good one as well.
Yes.
Always is.
Yes. And then mine is well, obviously Walton North Paulding. That'll be on GPP. Excuse me, guys. I just want to out for real is North Paulding. Like, regardless if they win or lose, just I think you're playing a state championship contender in 7A and a team that's going to be there when it's said and done. How do they look, right? Do they give them a test, right? Do they make it tough for Walton? Can somebody slow down that offense? I think no, but I'm curious to see how they match up against them. What are some things they did? Well, they played great against them last year, right? We had the game on TV Thursday night, 51-49, went down to the end. I obviously think their defense is way better this year than last year for Walton, but I'm curious to just see how North Paulding matches up. Can they give them another explosive? Can they give them another test, big game? That's going to be interesting to see.
Yep. Coach Stark said he felt like his team's faster. Obviously, Walton returns pretty much everyone. They look even better. It's going to be a high scoring game, I think.
Yeah.
They're going to have to keep the pace. They're going to want to run a ton of plays. Should be exciting. And then here's some region games just to keep an eye on this week. Cambridge against GAC, big test for GAC, who's been cruising. Cambridge has had some impressive wins. They're always tough. Cartersville and Calhoun will be another great one. And then I've got, Trinity Christian and Stars Mill. Stars Mill's coming off that big win over Troop. It's a huge region matchup. Those are the only two teams in Region 4 that have yet to lose. So the winner will be in the driver's seat.
Yes, 100%. Great point about Craig.
Oh, yeah. Cedar Town and Central Carroll also.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
That is a big one. Yeah, the freshman's been playing well out there. J.R. Harris, and then Cedar Town's looking pretty decent this season. So,
oh, yeah.
Great point out by Craig. Those are some phenomenal games.
For sure. Big region opener. Cedar Town had a pretty impressive win over Dalton last week. This is an undefeated Dalton team, but Central Carroll, how good are they? They know that this is going to be the big one in that Region 7, 5-0, a chance to take down the defending region champ. So, big test for them.
Good running back, too, and Joe Nas Walton, who's obviously a heavily talented recruit, 4-star right now. So, that's going to be an interesting test for them.
Yeah, I think Central Carroll, one of their wins was, I think, like a 3-point win over Northgate. We saw their film.
Yep.
A great team. So, I mean, Central Carroll's been the real deal this year.
100%. But we're going to leave our high school segment there. We're going to move to the second segment. We're going to move into some college football. Obviously, talk about some of the big games. We could talk about the Colorado loss to Oregon in a big matchup against USC. So, obviously, I don't know if you've seen it, Craig. Something came out. Obviously, apparently seems like a lot of players were chirping before the game. They were stomping on the logo. Shiloh Sanders was chirping to the players. And I'm not really surprised after that with the result. I mean, obviously, they messed around and found out. But I just think you got to play your game. Obviously, it's a part of the game. But at the same time, I mean, they did get exposed a little bit.
Yeah. I just... the amount of volume, I guess, around this, all the chit chat, it's a phenomenon. Let's just be honest. I mean, all the excitement around Colorado after those first few weeks, I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
And so, they're riding high off the emotions, all the attention, but we knew that Oregon, I mean, that's a legit program, proven powerhouse in college football. That was going to be a tough matchup. And then I think they just went into it after a physical game against Colorado State. Ultra physical, not just the fact that you play an overtime game, but I mean, we saw some of the highlights from that game. That was an absolute,
it was hidden.
Yeah, an absolute slugfest. And then I think once they got behind in that game, it's like they need balance offensively.
Yeah.
They didn't have a run game going. They're playing from behind and then just spiraled out of control. So big opportunity to reset. A huge matchup coming up. It's not going to get any easier for them. But overall, I mean, it's kind of like with BT starting the season 3-1. It's like you look at those first 4 games you're playing and you say, hey, we're going to be 3-1.
You take it all day.
Exactly.
You take it all day. I mean,
So, I mean, it was a tough one. They definitely got exposed in that first half, humbled, you could say. But overall, I mean, just coming off, it's a long season. It's tough to just play an emotional game like that every single time. And yeah, Oregon looked legit for sure.
100%. I think they took it to him, and obviously, Colorado made some mistakes, and I think their offensive line is just not good. Shador Sanders is the most pressure quarterback in the nation right now. Yep, 7 sacks in a game. Some of them obviously put on themselves, but I think they just need to establish the run, right? Take a little bit of pressure off. We know how good Shador can be, but that line is not great when protecting. And I think the big standout was that Oregon has some legit pass rushers that can get after you, get after the passer. So I think USC is a little more favorable of a matchup, not because of obviously, I think offensively they're going to put up points, right? Caleb Williams is going to ball. He's going to have a big game. We'll talk about our predictions in a second. But I think they're a little more susceptible defensively compared to Oregon, in my opinion. So I think it's going to be interesting. But we'll see how they rebound. That's the great thing about college football. You can take an L and you can rebound the next week. You on to the next week. So let's move to Georgia Tech. Impressive win on the road against Wake Forest. Big time matchup also coming up against Miami October 7th. I have that circled real quick because that could potentially be a litmus test for them. I think that's the only team on Florida State's schedule that can actually beat them the rest of the season. So if they could go and hang with Miami and potentially give them a game and defeat them, I'm not going to say Georgia Tech is back, but I think that definitely strengthens their case to get a bowl, potentially get to play in a bowl game. I think obviously got to win 6 games, but if you can go beat Miami, I mean, you're doing a lot of things well. But just standouts from that game, obviously Eric Singleton from Alexander continues to have an impressive season. 4 catches in that game, 50 yards and a touchdown. He's been performing great. Haynes King last week was the fastest player to 1,000 yards since Joe Hamilton, right? Did another great game, 222 yards passing, 16 for 27, 2 tutties, just 1 interception. Jamal Haynes has been running the ball good for Georgia Tech as well, 18 carries, 95 yards, and a tutty. The big standout, though, listen to the stat line, Craig. Wake Forest had more first downs than Georgia Tech, 29-13. They had more plays, 82-59. And then they had less penalties, 2-14 for Georgia Tech. The biggest difference in the game, though, 5 turnovers to just 1. So obviously, you can win in a lot of categories, but that big one is always that turnover battle. And Georgia Tech won that and forced the quarterback into 3 interceptions.
Yep, Jalen King had 2 of them.
Yep.
I just think it's been an exciting Tech team to watch.
Yes.
Haynes King is very good.
Yep.
He comes in with starting experience from the SEC. I thought that was just a really great situation for him and with some of these pieces around him. And then Eric Singleton, the freshman, he's having a huge season. So Tech, they're 2-2 right now. The Louisville game, that was one that could have gone their way. They played Ole Miss very close. I think they've played well every single week so far. Just got to clean up some mistakes. They've got some big games coming up.
Yep.
I think they'll be in every single one of these games this year. I mean, even against Georgia later on, I think they'll give them a game.
Yeah, 100% agree. So they've been fun to watch. But speaking of Georgia, big win at home against UAB. Obviously, people are still complaining. I feel like it's almost like I'm not gonna lie to you, Craig. Obviously, just bringing NFL into it, but I feel like okay, hey, I'm a Bengals fan. Like if we won a title, we won back-to-back titles. I'm not gonna complain the next year, and I feel like I think they've been spoiled the last 2 years, and obviously it's still early. You got to work the kinks out and all that stuff, but at the same time, be thankful. You're still number 1 in the AP poll. You're 4-0. Has it looked pretty? No, but you're winning games, right? Your defense helps you out against South Carolina, and then the offense finally got it going. Obviously, a lot of people aren't liking what Mike Bobo is doing as the offensive coordinator. I mean, it takes time, though. It's his first year. Get a man some time. You know what I'm saying? So I just think they're a little too critical right now. And I think just be happy with the 4-0 start. I mean, you could be a lot worse. And I think they got a big test coming up against Auburn.
100%. Yeah. Georgia fans, I said last week, stoicism. If you're the 2-time defending champ, stop being so emotional every single game. It's almost embarrassing. Like, oh my gosh, what's going on? It's like calm down.
Every week.
Good grief. It just gets old. And I think the injuries is a very interesting aspect to it.
7 starters.
Yes. So, I mean, I've got injury report pulled up right here. Let's just look at some of these. Michael Williams, he was out. He'll probably be back. Let's see. Yeah, Javon Bullard, ankle, his situation. You got Ladd with his back issue. Pierce Sperlin, he's a great prospect, tight end that can really make plays, has a great height. Used to actually go to Walton, then went to, I think, Walton in Florida. He's one of the top tight end prospects in the country. So Amarius Mims, that's going to be huge for them. He's been phenomenal just with special teams. One of the best kind of return men they've had. So that's a big. I mean, he provides electric plays for them. Cole Spear. I mean, the list is pretty huge. And then when you consider all the new pieces, the fact that I mean, all the dudes they're sending to the NFL at a historic rate, people just need to calm down. It will be okay. And then, yeah, I don't see what the fuss has been about. But Georgia fans, I mean, they are just so emotional. It's crazy.
No, it is, and you got a good team, so
you got like emotional baggage from years of choking. But I mean, they aren't doing it. They're winning. They're number one in the country. It's act like it.
That's it.
But no, this Auburn game, it's always an exciting one.
Yes.
And I thought it was also weird last week. Like, why is that a night game?
I brought it up in one of my takes. I mean, people kind of gave me crap about it, but I was like, why is USC Colorado at 12 p.m. game? At least make it 3:30 or a 6:30 game. But same thing. Why is that a night game?
Yeah, so it's Saturday. I mean, it would be 3:30, but
yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same reason. Why is Ohio State Michigan every year at 12 o'clock? Why?
That makes no. That's a great point. I don't know.
Why is that game? That is one of the best rivalries in college football.
It is the best.
And literally, it's at noon. Why is the game not at 7 o'clock?
Yeah,
I ask the same question every year. It makes no sense.
But yeah, you have a night game against UAB. Kind of odd, but I say like Georgia fans, they get off sexually when it's a night game. Like it's just the facts. Like, oh my god, it's a night game. It's like, why don't you want the game to be at 3:30? That's like the ideal time.
Right, you still got your night. Get a win,
I had
go
to
out.
make fun of them for that. They are obsessed. They're like, yay, we get to do our light show after the fourth quarter. It's like, yeah, and then the game will end super late. You won't be able to go downtown afterwards. Everyone's going to be drunk by the time it starts. It's like
100%.
You guys need that afternoon game. So I think it'll be good.
Yes.
And then big games coming up this next month for Georgia. I mean, that Florida game is going to be very exciting. So they've definitely got some guys that need to get back into it, but I think they'll be fine.
100%. Well, Craig, let's talk about our picks from last week and how we fared. I don't know if Jimmy's watching, but we're going to talk about our picks we had last week. I did pretty decent, Craig. I'm not going to lie. I went 5-2. I got the Bama one right. I got Oregon right. I had Utah right. Penn State demolished Iowa 31-0. Washington State ended up beating Oregon State at home. Cam Ward is just having a phenomenal season, right? 404 yards passing, 4 touchdowns. He's just having a great year after kind of having a slower year last season, but he's doing phenomenal. So I did pretty good. Only ones I missed was Notre Dame, who had a chance to win that one, and Clemson just blew it.
Yep. Yeah. I actually got the Clemson one right. I picked FSU, but got a little lucky on that one, to say the least. I got the Oregon State one wrong. I thought their defense would be able to come away with it. I thought Washington State looked fantastic. Really creative play calling. They just looked kind of mid-season form. I got the Ole Miss one wrong. I did. The reason I picked them, though, is because I actually was genuinely impressed with how Georgia Tech played against them. I thought Ole Miss looked good. I thought with the way Alabama's offense was having its issues, that they'd be able to get the deep ball going. But, I mean, credit to Alabama. It was a huge win for them. I got the Utah one correct. I got the Oregon one correct. Got the Penn State one correct. And then I picked Notre Dame, even though I never do, and got that one wrong. So I think I went 4-3.
It's not bad. You're above 500.
Yeah.
You'll take that.
But I even said last time, I said I'd never pick Notre Dame. I'll pick them.
I did too. I thought they would have won.
Home,
I mean, you should have won that. against
But I
Ohio
mean,
State.
still,
But
that's not like the worst loss in the world. But still, they should have won that game. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see how they bounce back from that. But
100%.
that's a brutal way to lose close game at home like that. It just kills the season.
Definitely. But we got week 4 game predictions to close out our segment. Got some big games for you. Craig wrote them down. So, number 10, Utah at number 19, Oregon State. Who are you taking in that one?
I got to go with Utah.
Interesting. I got upset alert here. I'm going to go with Oregon State at home. All right. So, mark that down, Craig. You got Utah.
Yep.
But Craig's pick. All right. Next game, USC, Colorado. USC's coming off that big win against Arizona State. Nobody's going to pick Colorado in this game. Everyone's going to be like, they got what they deserve, especially with all the crap talking they did and all that extra stuff to stomp it on the logo. But I think that is when Colorado plays their best. Back against the wall. Nobody believes in them. I'm rolling upset. I think this is upset week for me. I'm rolling with Colorado at home, back in front of that home crowd. I think Deion's going to be able to rile them up. I think that crowd and playing in front of them fans is going to rile them up. And I think you're going to see Caleb Williams have a great game. You're going to see that USC defense exposed. Rolling with Colorado.
Man, I got to go with USC on that one.
All right, Craig's pick is USC. All right, guys. So we are two picks in. We both disagree. So we're going to see. Somebody got to be right. All right, Florida at undefeated Kentucky. Florida had that big win against Tennessee. I think they do a lot of good things well. They've looked better ever since rebounding against that loss against Utah. Graham Mercer's looked a lot better. Like Trevor Etienne and them running the football. Defense like they can fly around. I'm going to roll with Florida.
Same.
All right, we are in agreement. Me and Craig both with Florida. All right. Georgia at Auburn, number 1. This game is always interesting to pick because I feel like Auburn always plays Georgia tough, but they'll get some of their guys back. I'm going to roll with Georgia, going on the road and beating Auburn. Telling the fans to relax.
Yeah, same. Got to go with Georgia.
All right, so we're in agreement on that one. All right, next game I got Kansas undefeated at Texas. I think this is a big game. Probably last time these teams will play for a while. Let's keep the rivalry going. Kansas looking good once again. They looked good under the helm of Jalen Daniels, right? Last year they went undefeated before he ended up getting hurt. But I got to roll with Texas. I think that offense, them being able to run the ball, having Xavier Worthy there, having all the weapons they got, Jonte Cook, Jatavion Sanders. They got so many just guys that can throw at you. I think Texas continues to roll Texas. Home game as well.
Let me just check on something. Oh, man. Who is going to beat Texas? I'll go with Texas.
Yeah, I don't see it either. Yeah, I don't think Kansas. Good team, but I don't think they're going to be able to beat them. All right, on the road. This is an interesting one. Let's see if you stick with Ole Miss. 13 LSU at Ole Miss. They've already had a loss this season. For me, I'm rolling with LSU. I think Jaden Daniels having a good season. Malik Neighbors, man, he might be one of the better receivers in the country. Besides, I think Marvin Harrison and obviously Emeka Puka. He's right in that conversation. I'm going to roll LSU on the road.
Same.
All right, Craig got
Ole Miss
LSU.
disappointed me.
I like Jackson Dart, but I think LSU's going to come in and get a road to victory. All right, another big one. Notre Dame at number 17, Duke. Duke's look good. They're still undefeated. Notre Dame's coming off that tough loss against Ohio State. How will they rebound? How are they looking at a night game against Duke?
Got Notre Dame.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with Notre Dame as well. I think they'll be able to rebound. I think Sam Hartman has a big game in this one, and I think they continue rolling. All right, final game, Craig. Unless you have other ones you want to add. South Carolina at Tennessee. Home game for Tennessee.
I'll go Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Got to go Tennessee at home. I think that's just going to be too much. I don't think they have the DBs to stop that offense for South Carolina, so I'm going to roll with them as well.
I'm trying to see if there's any others
Yes.
that we should. Let's see. It's got to be some. Those are all the top 25 ones. Let's see. some other good games. I still don't know if I want to pick them. Coastal Carolina, Georgia Southern. That'll be
That's
interesting.
always a good one. That tough loss to Georgia State. Georgia State best start in program history, 4-0 right now.
Let's see. What about the Baylor UCF?
Ooh. I gotta go UCF at home, man. I just like their team. I know they got that one loss. Baylor's coming off that blowout loss to Texas. I think UCF's just they're more talented. I think they're a better team.
I'll go with Baylor.
All right, Craig has Baylor. All right. Any more you got?
That's it for me.
All right. That's our game picks. Y'all go comment below, take a screenshot, whatever you want to do. So we agree on disagree on a couple
How
here.
about Cincinnati BYU?
I gotta roll.
I'm gonna go BYU.
All right, that is the last one. So I'm gonna sum up the picks real quick, and y'all take a screenshot. Let us know how we did. Obviously, we're gonna keep track of it too. But all right, so I took Oregon State against Utah. Craig took Utah. USC versus Colorado. I took Colorado. He took USC. Florida at Kentucky. I think we both agreed on Florida. Georgia at Auburn. We both agreed on Georgia. Kansas at Texas. We both agreed on Texas. LSU at Ole Miss. We both agreed on LSU. Notre Dame at Duke. We both agreed on Notre Dame. South Carolina at Tennessee. We both agreed on Tennessee. Baylor versus UCF. I picked UCF. Craig picked Baylor. All right, and then the last one, Craig picked BYU. I picked Cincinnati. So take a screenshot if you will. We will come back to these picks next week. Keep this sheet, and we'll see how we did. All right,
Yep.
Love that segment. The final one, third segment to wrap up the show, is NFL football. Craig, what's wrong with the Bears?
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
They are a complete disaster.
they are. I mean, he's looking to show himself. They're saying that they might move off of Justin Fields after this year. They might go get a quarterback in the draft, a Caleb Williams or a potential Drake May. What do you think it is? I mean, last year he looked even better in the offense. I mean, he was running it well. He was another 1,000-yard rusher. Only a couple in NFL history have been able to do that. What do you think it is? Some thinks he can't read a defense.
Yeah, I've heard that. I think it's just complete dysfunction. They're talking about like moving stadiums, all this stuff. It just there's no identity whatsoever. There's no confidence in the team. Not really doing anything to like promote Justin Fields as a guy or even like portray that they're confident in him. It's just it seems to just be a sinking ship right now.
I agree. I mean, so far right now, 526 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. I think what the Bears need to do is they need to take a page out of the Philadelphia Eagles book and a page out of the Baltimore Ravens book. And the reason I say that is because I think they need to surround him with more weapons, right? Philly, when the questions were around Jalen Hurts, is he good down for throw? Now, obviously, sure he's struggling, but last year he was MVP candidate, right? Took him to the Super Bowl. But they went and got and traded for A.J. Brown, right? They drafted Devontae Smith, right? Got Dallas Goedert. They brought weapons in for him. Same thing with Baltimore this year, right? They draft Zay Flowers. They bring in OBJ. They got some of the returning players. Unfortunately, some injuries, but I think they need to take a page out of that book. Trade for a primetime receiver, right? Go in the draft and get a really good player that can, help him out. Go get him a number one guy, And I think that's what the Bears offense is missing, right? Obviously, running game hasn't been the best, but I think if you get Fields a number one guy, I think that makes your job easier.
Yeah, I mean they just don't have the pieces around him at all.
They don't.
Early in that Chiefs game, I mean he's just getting sacked. He's having to lead him in rushing. It's like there's not experienced playmakers around him. He doesn't have that dependable target. They do play Denver next. We'll see what happens.
They should have won that. 2-0-3 teams. I mean, you don't want to go 0-4, but he should have one of his better games. Playing the Broncos, he should have a pretty good game. But we'll see what happens, man. I hope he don't get traded. I hope they're able to figure it out and they can create some momentum. But we'll see what happens as it goes forward. All right, we're going to move to our next topic. Should the Jets trade for Kirk Cousins, right? I think a lot of people do not believe in Zach Wilson. Joe Namath actually called it out. I don't know why he continues to start, basically. I'm summing it up. I'm paraphrasing what he said. just what do you think of that whole situation with Zach Wilson there? Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is out for the season pretty much. He said he could potentially maybe return back for the playoffs. We'll see late in the playoffs. But what do you think they need to do? I mean, obviously, defense is playing well. They were able to keep them in the game when Rodgers went down. They beat the Bills. They kept them in that game against the Patriots. Like, what do you think they should do? Should they go get another quarterback? Should they trade for somebody? What should they do?
I think that'd be an interesting trade. Obviously, it didn't work out with Aaron Rodgers. That was tough, but it seems like with all the talent on that roster, this is not the ideal situation for them. They looked like absolute trash against that Cowboys defense, and then another poor showing. They're fortunate to even get that Buffalo win. I think Buffalo really beat themselves in that game.
100%. Well, what I would say on that, I think they need to do something. I thought Graham brought up a great point. You don't want to take off obviously Justin Jefferson, but you're 0-3, right? You got to do something. So if you lose your next game, I mean, you got to entertain the possibility, right? Jefferson's going to attract big time money, right? You might want to hit a full reset. You already got rid of kind of Dalvin Cook, you replace him with Madison. Obviously you don't want to lose a potential Hall of Fame talent in Justin Jefferson, but at the same time, Kirk's contract's expiring as well, and your team's not that good. So sometimes you got to hit the reset. I think Kirk Cousins would be pretty decent in that offense.
What do you think they could get for that?
I think you would trade a couple picks. I think maybe trade like maybe get like a defensive piece. Maybe like a linebacker or a defensive lineman. Trade him to Kirk, and then maybe get a couple like picks. Maybe get a second or a first round pick or something.
And then is that it for Zach?
I think that's it. You got to move on. I mean, even if he's damn good, you got to release. It's no disrespect to him. He's just not the guy. I've said it back then, and the bad thing right now is the 2021 class for quarterbacks does not look good, right? Trey Lance is obviously the backup at Dallas. Zach Wilson, what he is, should have never been taken number 2 overall. Fields does not look good right now. I hope he does improve, but he doesn't look good. Their best quarterback is Trevor Lawrence in their draft right now. Compared to let's go look at 2021 real quick. Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Hurts. 2 out of those 4 quarterbacks have been to the Super Bowl already. I think I'm missing another good one too that was in the later rounds. I can't think off the top of my head. 2 or 4 have already been there, and potentially got Miami could potentially make a deep run this year. I mean, you compare that to what's going on with 21. I mean, hey.
Yeah, if you have a young quarterback and you're already not confident in them, you just got to end it.
It sucks, but as I said, should never been taken that high. But yeah, I think you got to move on. I do. But we'll see what happens. We'll see if they continue to roll with them. Hopefully, they can get on track. They got a big game actually against your Chiefs. Speaking of Chiefs,
right. Let's go.
Yeah, so 4-1-3. Now, Craig, I got a lot of stats to throw out to you, and this is scary. Y'all defense has improved a lot. Chiefs are number 6 in yards allowed this season, number 3 in completion percentage allowed, number 4 in completions allowed overall. I gave up 3 points against the Bears. I'm going to pull up how many points the Chiefs are giving up because I've been thoroughly impressed. So they gave up, obviously Lions scored 21, but that was a struggle game for the Lions. Like, they came out to the end. That's kind of an anomaly. 9 points to the Jaguars. I guess 10 points to the Bears. Late game garbage touchdown.
13.3 a game.
Come on, man. I mean, that's elite. You don't see that in the NFL no more. You'll be lucky to hold this team under 20 points. Be lucky. So, just what's your overall impressions of the Chiefs overall and just the team offensively, defensively? How has the playmakers looked since week 1? Even though they struggled, there's only struggle. Obviously, getting Kelsey back's helped a lot, but what's your overall assessment of the team?
I'm definitely pleased with the defense. I mean, you're keeping up 13 points a game. Didn't have full strength against Detroit. I didn't feel good about that game anyway. I mean, Travis Kelce was out. Defensive guys out. No Chris Jones, exactly. No. But, I mean, if the defense plays like that, we're going to be in good shape. I mean, that's 100% scary, as you said, for a team that has consistently dominated that division, that hasn't looked very good so far this season. It's just next level. And then Travis Kelce, I don't know what's going on with that situation. I almost saw it coming, though. Once he went on Saturday Night Live and started doing all this stuff, I'm like, okay, kind of grooming him into this new face of the NFL role. Then he's taking a shot with Taylor Swift,
Yeah.
giving her friendship bracelets. You had the NFL draft in Kansas City. It seems like they're really kind of invested into Kansas City as the face of the league right now. That's going to be interesting to see. It'll be a constant media storyline.
Till somebody knocks him off.
Yep.
I think this is valid.
Yeah. And Taylor Swift, she is kind of a polarizing figure. I don't think she is. It's like I don't really have an opinion about it, but what they're saying is like her fans, they love her and they don't give a damn if you don't. They're just like, okay, well, we love her, so screw you. And if anything bad happens, drama, they break up later, it'll be a massive distraction. I don't think it will impact us too much, but it is pretty crazy to see. And then just how many times that's talked about.
It's a whole lot.
It's unbelievable. I mean, every single tweet on Sunday, people are like, someone asked me, like, did you see it? It's like, how could I not see it?
It's everywhere.
It's on every single NFL account talking about it.
His jersey sales went up too.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. So, I don't know what he's signed up on, but Travis Kelce's the best tight end of all time. He's doing his thing, and if this gives him a boost, that'll be fun to see.
All I'm gonna say is shoot or shoot. Always shoot your shot. He shot his shot. Hey, he dunked it. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see how that happens. But shoot or shoot. All right, we're gonna move to our next topic. Are the Dolphins the best team in the NFL? Actually, I got Damon laughing. I think yes, man. I mean, you put up 70 points on the Broncos, and obviously they just like a shell of themselves. I mean, every year they're just I don't know, but 4 touchdowns from Devin Achaney, 4 touchdowns from Raheem Mostert. Tyreek Hill had a touchdown. I think Tua Tagovailoa threw 3. I mean, I don't see anybody right now stopping them. They like one of the best teams in the NFL.
It's insane. The young guys are getting involved, putting up huge numbers. They're averaging 550 yards of offense a game. How do you stop this offense? I mean, Tyreek Hill, all these insane playmakers, the young guys coming in there with all of their speed.
It's the creativity too.
Exactly.
Yes.
They look 100% like the best, most dangerous offense. As I said, you come in there without a good defensive game plan, and you're gonna potentially have turnovers or a sloppy start. They're gonna embarrass you, and that's not something we've seen recently. As good as the Chiefs have been, they haven't been blowing teams out. I said the Eagles had a couple blowouts last year where it's like, okay, they look like the best team right now.
They haven't had that.
Yeah.
No.
But the Dolphins so far this season, they are absolutely killing it. They have 130 points through 3 weeks, 43 points per game. Who's second? 28 points a game. I mentioned there's 19 teams that haven't even scored 70 points yet. It's not easy to do. People will say, oh, that's just how bad the Broncos are. No, they've done it pretty much every week this season.
Yeah, and they're balling, and they got a big game this week against the Bills on the road.
Oh, yeah,
that's going to be a great game to watch. 1 o'clock, I'm sure it's going to be on the CBS main window. That's going to be some good action. How does Josh Allen look in that game? Does he look like himself, right? Can he lead them to victory? How good will Buffalo's defense balled out against Washington, forced 4 turnovers, 4 interceptions for Sam Howell, sacked them a lot as well. Buffalo did their thing, and that's going to be such an interesting game to see.
Oh, that is a huge game.
Yes. Already in week 4.
I don't think there's a game I'd be more interested in that.
Yeah, 100%. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to throw it to you, Craig, before we wrap for today. Any more topics you wanted to talk about?
We don't need to get too much into the Bengals. I mean, I know I thought it was a big win regardless of the circumstances. I mean, a must-win game, honestly. But you gave the game ball to the defense, so.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I give it to Luanarumo. The way he schemed up the guys was very impressive to me. What he was doing as far as the sub packages, just constantly putting pressure on. And that's what I love about Lou Anarumo as in a positive note. He knows how to disguise things. He knows how to bring different pressures. He knows how to make an offensive coordinator feel uncomfortable. And the great thing, and you got to think about this, Craig, and this is why I give him the game ball. This was against Sean McVay, who's one of the better offensive minds in the game, right? Him doing that, I think that's why I give him the game ball. Obviously, Logan Wilson with the 2 interceptions, Trey Henderson with the 2 sacks. And Craig, I'm not going to lie to you. I think Dax Hill is a star in the making. I do. That safety, I see why they moved off Jesse Bates. The way they were using him, imagine you having a safety, Craig. You can put him, we see it sometimes in high school. You can line him up as strong safety, free safety, slot, linebacker, and defensive end. We've never had the versatility at safety. No matter how good Jesse Bates was, obviously he got, cooked a couple times, torched a couple times downfield. That's going to take time to do. But to be able to use him as a Swiss Army knife on defense, bro, that's going to help us so much. That is special. You don't get that all the time. So I think they found something special in him. So in a positive note, I will say that defense really impressed me.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Good defense last year. I think that's an interesting aspect to watch, is being able to line him up situationally.
Yes.
How about the Sunday opener, Falcons and Jags at 9:30 a.m. kickoff?
That's a good game. I mean, 9:30 a.m. kickoff in London. I think the biggest question is, how does Jacksonville respond, right? How do they look after, taking that big L to Houston, right? A lot of people favored Jacksonville going into that game. It was like, okay, they didn't get back on track. 2-1. They lost the game. They got beat pretty good. How would they look after? And then the Falcons, same thing, right? Played against the Lions, lost that game. We're 2-0. Now we're 2-1. How do they rebound, right? This doesn't really look better, right? Bijan Robinson's been having a phenomenal season. They got weapons. Kyle Pitts, can they get them a little bit more involved? Drake London. So it's an interesting game, right? I'm not going to say it's a must-win game for both teams, but if Jacksonville, you don't want to go 1-3. And then if you're the Falcons, you want to keep trending forward, right? You want to potentially make the playoffs this season. Defense has been good all year long. They've been stout. You want to go, if you can go in that game, go 3-1, you feel good about yourself. And Jacksonville, you want to get back to 500. So interesting storylines on both sides. Definitely both teams are eager for a win.
Yeah, not to be corny, but maybe Drake London needs to have a good game in London.
For sure.
He needs that breakout game. He really does.
He does. I mean,
he needs to get in the end zone, needs to score a touchdown, needs to get going.
Yes, 100%. But yeah, I agree with Craig. That's a great game to look at early in the morning, see how they fare.
Yeah, lots of familiar faces in that game too.
Yes, 100%.
So yeah, it should be a good game. I like the other matchup too, Bills, Dolphins. There's some good games this week. I think some weeks it's like high school seems to have the better schedule. Sometimes it's the college.
Yeah.
Thought last week was probably college, but
for sure.
NFL, there's some good matchups this week.
Yeah, so it'll be a lot of fun. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We're going to leave it there. Another jam-packed episode. Craig returns tomorrow for GHSA Drive for the State title. I'm sure he's going to have some great guests, so y'all stay tuned for that at noon tomorrow. And if you missed our standout performers in our high school segment, that was at the beginning of the show. Appreciate all the love and support, man, and helping us reach 500 subscribers. And hope you guys have a great rest of the week. We out. Peace.